Welcome back to the Brewers Lab. I'm your host Caleb, that's your host Devin, and today we figured instead of talking about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle set, we just want to talk about the commanders we're excited to put the 99 cards into because, like it or hate it, there is some very good cards in this set.
Yeah, no, we were getting actually pretty pumped before even making this podcast episode. We're talking about all these different cards and cards we're excited to put in our own decks. And I was actually quite surprised to see how much cards that are actually going in my decks. I originally I thought I wasn't going to put much cards in from TMNT, but now here we are and we're talking about a lot of cards. I was surprised we got so much on our list.
Yeah, me too. At first, we're like, we gotta do some and now I'm just excited.
Yeah,
The first one we saw was Yigra, and you do Frodo, but basically,
yeah.
food decks are getting a little bit of a buff. So, Yigra, Eater of All, the 5 CMC legendary elemental cat that makes everything a food token or every creature a food token. The first thing we saw was Party Dude. The
Yeah.
names of these cards are kind of insane, but bear with us, the cards are busted. It says when this class enters, each player creates a food token, and then for 2 mana, you can level it to level 2. And it says whenever an artifact an opponent controls is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you get to draw a card. So it's another copy of Viridian Rebels in a Ygritte deck, which is very, very strong. And then to level it up to 5, or for level 3, you need 5 mana. And it says whenever one or more of your opponents are attacked, up to one target attacking creature gets plus X until end of turn, where X is the number of cards in your hand. So a little bit of a pump effect. This is going to make it very easy to just one-shot people with Yigra, and Yigra honestly didn't need that help to begin with.
No, that's actually kind of crazy with Ygritte because this is definitely more focusing on her kind of effect than Frodo and Sam for sure. Like, honestly, giving everybody a food token is kind of a little bit of a drawback, but not really because of the fact that it's a Viridian Revels giving you card advantage. And even every time that your opponents are sacrificing stuff, it's just going to get you tons of cards in your hand. And Ygritte doesn't really have built in card advantage, but now it will with Party Dude. And yeah, that's just crazy. I also love Ninja Pizza, specifically for the Salmon Frodo deck, and this also works pretty well with Yeager too. Food you control have tap sacrifices artifact, add 1 mana of any color. And it's kind of funny, I've noticed more and more, like, it feels like they're doing food stuff but without being food. I don't know if that makes sense, but like they don't really go on theme. They're doing all sorts of different things, making them into treasures, doing all sorts of different buffs, but not really going into the core inside of what food actually really does. Treasures, everyone already knows, like, okay, you're tapping for mana, that's really all that treasure is for. But with Ninja Pizza, it just, yeah, I don't know. It feels like they tried to make food way more powerful, especially as sets go on.
That's funny you said that because everybody was like, food sucks. We're going to put Clan Ironworks in our deck, and now we're sacrificing the food for 2 mana. They're like, okay, we're just going to make other cards that do that. So the redundancy of food decks is going to be there, and it's going to be there very soon. So now this is basically like another copy of Clan Ironworks in your food decks. And Clan Ironworks was already absurd in food decks.
Yeah, no, exactly. And just with like Frodo and Sam, the fact that you're just constantly making food on the battlefield with Sam, and then obviously you could make it for the fact that you could sacrifice some gain 3 life and also swing it with Frodo. That's a good option. But if you want treasure right away, you have that option to sacrifice them for mana. Either way, it's a win-win. I guess in a way, I don't know if it's really going to be good in Frodo and Sam because again, I don't know if you'd want to gain life so that you could get card draw or mana. I guess both is good. So either way, I think
Both.
I think the better option is Yigra out of these two cards with Party Dude and Ninja Pizza, just because you're sacrificing basically any food you have on the battlefield, which is any creature, and your opponents are probably going to likely do the same. And Yigra is going to get bigger, and you just get way more advantage.
I agree. Another card I wanted to talk about in the case of food was Mutagen Man Living Ooze. This is a legendary creature use mutant. It's X and then 2 green. It has trample and activated abilities of artifact tokens you control cost 1 less to activate. And then whenever Mutagen Man enters, you get to create X mutagen tokens. What I like about this is it can reduce the cost of sacrificing food to 0 because it doesn't have that specific wording
Oh, that's
that
true.
says it needs to be it can't reduce it to 0, which a lot of cost reducers have. So now it's free to sacrifice foods, and also it's going to be free to sacrifice clue tokens as well. So if you have clue decks, there's a lot of ways to already reduce the cost of activated abilities, stack Mutagen Man on top of that, and now you're sacking food or clues for free and food for free.
You know, I completely just skipped by that because nowadays they always have that ability. If it's one or less, it can't be one or less or something like that. So I immediately kind
Exactly.
of skipped over this card and just kind of forgot about it, not gonna lie. But I mean, it has decent stats even if you don't pay into the X ability. It's already a 2/3, so you're just gonna pay more into X, and it's just gonna grow over time with it. It also has trample, and the fact that it will enter with mutant tokens makes it pretty useful too. So I like it as an outlet, but obviously reducing the cost of your food activated abilities or clue abilities is pretty useful, especially with like Academy Manufactor. So good pick for sure. I didn't really catch that.
Yeah, Academy Manufacturer is crazy with this card. That's a good point. That's a good point. I want to move on to Genova though. You're excited
Okay.
about Genova.
Yeah.
I'm excited about Genova. We got a ton of mutants in this set, and a lot of these mutants are very low CMC and very high power. Genova is a 4 CMC legendary creature from the Final Fantasy set, and she says at the beginning of combat on your turn, you get to put a number of 1/1 counters equal to Genova's powers on up to one other target creature. That creature becomes a mutant in addition to its other types. Additionally, it says whenever a mutant you control dies during your turn, you get to draw cards equal to its power. So the fact that we're getting all of these super strong mutants and we don't have to turn them into mutants and sacrifice them, she's going to be able to draw an absurd amount of cards with very, very little effort.
Genova is a monster. Obviously, you could just make a person into a mutant if you really wanted to, but obviously, if you have a lot of mutants in the 99, you don't have to worry about that problem. All you have to worry about is buffing them up, and then you get to sacrifice them. Yeah, Genova is really good in the 99 or as a commander itself. Nothing better to have in your command zone than card draw, and this provides it tremendously. And then there's a good amount of cards that kind of go with it with the mutant theme in this theme too.
A crazy amount of card draw.
Yeah.
I like that you can double up on the value too, because if you're
Yep.
sacrificing something to greater good, you're drawing double the card. Oh,
Yeah.
it's insane. My favorite card, I'm kind of sad that I'm not going to be able to build this because the card just looks insane. You could build it, but it would not be a very good deck. It's Armageddon Future Shark. First of all, crazy name, but this is an 8 CMC mono black legendary creature shark horror mutant. It has flash, and whenever it enters the battlefield, you get to destroy up to 3 target creatures. It's also a 9/6. So in the case of Genova, I'd rather just reanimate it with something like a reanimate or animate dead, and then you get that 9/6, and then you're sacrificing it to draw 9 cards, and you get to remove 3 creatures. So I think this is a like powerful in the 99, but man, if this was like if this had a better ability, I would build it in a heartbeat, but it's just not justifiable.
I know. I mean, even though it does have flash, I love the art too. It looks so sweet, just like a shark. I always love the way. I mean, are you familiar with street sharks?
No.
So street sharks are kind of like the humanoid looking shark people, and I watched that growing up, and then it just kind of reminds me of it just a little bit. Obviously, not too extremely because this is way scarier looking, but
Yeah.
nonetheless, it's just awesome because it's a good reanimation target. I mean, 3 targets is actually pretty decent rate. I mean, for 8 mana, maybe not, but it also has flash and it's a 9/6, so I like it for that kind of factor. But if you do clone it with like cloning a shredder, you definitely will make it more of a board wipe. This is an awesome card. So for 4 and 2 black, I didn't read this as a mutant in addition to its other types, but you exile target creature card in your graveyard to create a token that's a copy of it, except it's legendary and it's immune in addition to its other types. So I liked it for that non-legendary factor. You can make a token copy of Armagon or even other cards like it that are legendary creatures. But it also has the kind of the same ability for the next 2 ones. You create a token that's a copy of a card exiled with the Saga, except it's legendary. It isn't legendary and it's immune in addition to its other types. So essentially, all 3 of the modes are the same. You're just making 3 token copies of the creature you exiled. So 3 Armagons, 3 of your commander if you want to put in your graveyard. There's a lot of uses with this that I absolutely love. The fact that this isn't black makes it pretty awesome because this is normally like a blue effect.
Yeah, it's normally blue. I think the only other way is like Helm of the Host. So
Yeah.
if you're looking for a way to make non-legendary tokens of something in black, there you go.
Mm.
The one problem with this you got to watch out for is if you decide for that to be your commander, once you exile it, it's gone. So,
Yeah. I
be
know, but
careful with doing this to your
if you have three
commander, but
if you have 3 of your commander, I think it's worth it. But obviously, if it's
dude,
gone, it's
imagine
gone.
like they just axe or board wipe. They board wipe after that, you're cooked.
Yeah, I
You're
know.
so cooked.
I mean, at least
But
if they don't board wipe the Saga, at least you get 2 more additional.
Another card I'm excited to put in my decks, especially my Power Matters strategies, is Foot Chopper. This is a 2 CMC artifact equipment. It says when this equipment enters, you get to create a 1/1 black ninja creature token and then attach this equipment to it. Its equipped creature has flying, and then additionally, whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you may sacrifice it. If you do, you draw cards equal to its power, and then its equip cost is 2. So you want to put this in your counter decks. It's going to be easy to put counters on because it's actually going to give you fodder out of the gate. Like, even without buffing anything, this does draw you at least one card. But let's be honest, we want to equip this onto Armageddon Shark. We want to deal 9 damage to someone, and then we want to draw 9 cards.
Yeah. No, it's pretty much in a weird way. I kind of compared it to Skull Clamp. Obviously, it's not Skull Clamp by any means. It's a little extra steps, but the fact that you could just make a creature get flying, that evasion just to swing in and not be contested most of the time. Obviously, if somebody's playing a dragon deck, then yeah, sure. But 2 mana, you're essentially just attacking with the creature. If it has higher power, that means you're drawing more cards. I like it for that use. Again, really good. I actually didn't look at this card in detail, but I think it's quite powerful. I was just kind of afraid of dealing combat because sometimes you might not be able to do that. But again, you have flying, so I think it's worth it.
We're getting through. We're getting through.
So we're going to move on. And I also like Bebop and Rocksteady for this kind of pairing with Genova too, just because it's a big creature. I mean, that's simple enough. It's a 7/5 for 3 mana. I mean, it's kind of like that one demon from Strixhaven for 4 mana. It's like a 11/11. I'm trying to remember the name, Damogoth Titan, but same kind of effect. But this kind of works with the mutagen tokens because you could sacrifice a mutagen token to just swing in with it or something like that. You could also discard cards like a reanimation kind of style effect where you just get something like that, then reanimate that creature. So yeah, there's a lot of uses for Bebop and Rocksteady. I like it just for the Powers Matters thing with Genova.
It also sacrifices itself, right? Because you can
Oh,
attack with
true. I
it.
didn't think about that. I did
Yeah,
not think
dude,
about
you
that.
attack with it, you sack it, and then you instantly trigger her. Or it could be sacrifice your Armageddon Shark or whatever. But the fact that this is a sack outlet too
Yeah.
for that deck is also kind of absurd in my opinion.
Yeah, I did not think about that. Good job. Yeah.
That's why there's 2 of us here.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
what this guy's gonna tell me my saga stuff doesn't work, and I'm gonna tell him sack out. Yeah. Another thing that I think we should look at, and definitely look at, if you guys want these cards, definitely pick them up now because they're going to be in a pre-con that
Yeah.
we don't know when's going to get reprinted. But Rocksteady and Bebop, the partner pairing, are going to be very, very strong in counter strategies. They're both mutants, so we're going to talk about them in the context of Genova, but they're just solid card.
Yep.
Bebop says partner with Rocksteady, and that means whenever you cast them, you get to find the other one, which is like basically nets you another card. He has Death Touch, and then whenever he deals combat damage to a player, you may draw that many cards, and then you lose that the much life, and that's going to be equal to the number of counters on him. So he has 5 counters on him, you draw 5 cards. And then Rocksteady says, partner with Bebop, trample, whenever another non-token creature you control enters, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. What I like about Rocksteady is it's any creature. So if you're casting elves, you can just put the counter on Bebop, and then Bebop's going to draw you more cards.
Yeah, no, exactly. And first of all, I just have to comment on Rocksteady's art. He's just a pirate rhino. I just think that's
I
really
don't know
cool.
what's happening.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't. It's probably some alternate version of him, but I do like it in Genova too because obviously you could buff up Bebop with Genova each combat, so that's pretty useful there.
you mentioned you had like a Mothman
Oh yeah,
mutant
yeah,
deck,
yeah.
yeah?
So yeah, I mentioned Mothman because I have a Mothman mutant deck, and I think a lot of these cards work perfectly for it because it's a self-mill kind of theme. You want to put a lot of cards in your graveyard to reanimate them. So something like Armagon being a mutant works pretty well with it. And also like Bebop too. Again, a lot of these cards work really well with like cloning of Shredder, making more token copies of certain creatures that you exile with it. Again, Wise Mothman is another card that works pretty well in this kind of shell of just Golgari counters because the Wise Mothman is going into the counter theme as well.
Yeah, I agree. Mothman's like that's a thematic mutant deck too. I like that.
Yeah. No, I had to make a thematic mutant deck because it's too powerful if you just go make it like combo with a ham sandwich. But if I make it a mutant
Mothman's
deck, it's
not
a
okay.
little bit easier. I actually made my Mothman deck more of a like a cryptid mutant deck where like there's a lot of cryptids in there. Just thematic, just stuff. I love cryptids like Bigfoot and like Loch Ness Monster and all that. But anyways, a little side note.
I want to talk about Yuriko for a second because Yuriko is one of those commanders like Korvold, like
Yeah.
Atali. As soon as someone sees it in the command zone, they start like you throw up a little bit in your mouth. And
Yeah.
hey, I'm a Korvold player. I played it, and then I've taken that deck apart. He's done the Atali thing. He's
Yeah.
played it. He's taken it apart.
Yep.
But Yuriko does not have a good outlet for a commander in the command zone that can effectively play her in the 99.
Yeah.
She is just good, and you can just find a commander to shove her in the 99. But I think Splinter Radical Rat is going to be perfect for the Yuriko players to transition from
Yeah.
I'm tired of stomping people with this Yuriko deck, but I still want to play her. You can play her in the 99, and then Splinter Radical Rat can be your commander. It says if an ability of a ninja you control would trigger, the ability triggers an additional time. And then for 2 mana, 1 generic and 1 blue, it says target ninja can't block this turn. So this is going to give you access to white while allowing you to play your favorite card and not be kicked out of a playgroup.
No, exactly. And there's a key difference between this and a regular Panharmonicon. This is if ability of a ninja you control would trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. It's not an enters trigger, it's any kind of trigger. So if it has an ETB, if it has an attack trigger, or even a deals combat trigger, Splinter will kind of double that up, kind of like a roaming throne. I guess that's a better example, calling it a roaming throne of a commander in a way. But the fact that it does give a ninja unblockable until end of turn, that makes it extremely strong. The fact that it's also Esper. There's a lot of outlets that you can make this a fun ninja deck compared to Yuriko. I love ninjas, don't get me wrong, but my first introduction to playing Commander was playing against Yuriko, and that's just that left a bad taste in my mouth. Just saying.
Got it. Endless Foot Assault. I also wanted to mention this because this isn't for Yuriko decks since it's white, but this definitely goes in the Splinter deck to help the Yuriko decks out. So this could be like
Yeah.
me just explaining like a cool, fun thing you would get if you did go with Splinter.
Mhm.
It's a 3 CMC enchantment. It has squad, and then it says whenever you attack, for each opponent, create a 1/1 black ninja creature token that's tapped and attacking that player. So this is going to give you the fodder to ninjutsu every single turn on every single player. And the fact that it has squad for 2 mana means that you can get multiple ninjas entering the battlefield. So I think like there's going to be a lot of doors opened for these Esper ninja decks with Splinter at the helm.
Yeah, and something I like about this card is the fact that it doesn't have like the stapled ability usually these cards have, sacrifice them at the end of turn. You get to keep the ninjas all the
Oh
time.
yeah.
Like that's the best part about it. You just keep making more and more tokens. I would include this in a lot of 99s outside of ninjas too, because you're just making consistent tokens whenever you attack with any kind of creature. You're making 3 tokens in general as long as you're swinging at each opponent. Actually, for each opponent, no, you don't even have to be swinging at 3 opponents. You just swing at one opponent. You make 3 ninjas.
I like this for Jinsaki too. Because Jinsaki, you specifically have
Mhm.
to only attack with uh one creature per player to get the
Mhm.
benefit. But since these aren't technically attacking, or they don't attack during the step, it gives you
Yeah.
a way to punch through. And then in that deck, I just put a lot of Grim Hireling effects in there, right?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to deal 1 damage to each opponent each turn as much as possible. So the fact that this can be put in Jinsaki decks, I think is going to be very strong as
You know,
well.
that's a card I missed. I wish I grabbed that secret lair. It's such a cool card, but I missed on it completely. Like it was sold
Yeah, I
out
didn't
like
grab.
within like 10 minutes or something like that, but
Dude, that commander is so cool.
it's so
Like it's
expensive.
it's so expensive, but it is so cool.
Yeah,
Like
it's
just
really cool.
I like to like you make clones of it, and then you got 2 of them, and then
Yeah.
everything's unblockable and double strike,
Oh, that's so good.
and then Grim Hirelings triggering 6 times.
Yeah, that.
it's a
Oh, jeez.
oh, it's so fun. But hey, Jinsaki, if you were able to pick it up, or if you just proxy it, let's be honest, just proxy it,
Yeah.
and you could definitely shove that in there. I think it's a very strong
Yeah,
card.
no, exactly. And I mean, I know we talked about Yuriko a little bit, but they did also get a buff with like Splinter's technique because even though
Hmm.
it's a demonic tutor for 4 mana, it is really a demonic tutor for 2 mana when you sneak it into play. Well, I guess when you cast it into play, I don't know how the wording on that, but the fact that it buffs with Yuriko's trigger when you reveal it and deal 4 damage is a lot better than a demonic tutor with 2 mana. Again, would I rather play Demonic Tutor in Yuriko? Yeah, but Splinter's technique is a good second.
Yeah, especially with all the unblockable creatures you're already playing in Yuriko, it's not going to be hard to just return your little changeling that's unblockable back to your hand and tutor for any card in your deck. Splinter's
Mm.
technique is definitely going to be a staple in these Yuriko decks. Another reason is it is for CMC. So if you're getting the Yuriko trigger, it's going to do more damage than a demonic tutor
Yep.
because it's 4 CMC versus 2. So it's just going to be like that little bit extra that has the synergy with the commander.
Exactly. And speaking of damage, if you want to have a lot of massive damage, Slash Reptile Rampager is actually just straight up good.
Mm.
I know it's obviously comparable to Perforos, God of the Forge, which I still think Perforos is better, but I like the fact that this is a creature you could swing in right away with, and the fact that it is a 7/5 for 5 mana is just quite crazy too. Just because why not? And then it has all those effects and making a token on the battlefield. So technically, when it swings in, it kind of comes in with like 9 power and like 7 toughness, and also deals 2 damage to each opponent. Again, there's a lot going on with this card. Obviously, the comparison is with Perforos, but I think you just put both in the deck anyways.
Dude, a 9/5. Who a 5 mana 9/5. We've come a long way, guys.
Yeah.
But he's right. Like you attack, you make the token, you deal 7 damage, then they take 2. You're dealing 9 damage to someone's face with this.
Yeah, and then dealing 2 other damage to each opponent too. So you're dealing technically 13 damage in one go around.
What the heck? Yeah, no, this card's good. This card's
Yeah.
just good, guys. This
And
card's
it's
just
really good in a
I,
lot of different decks too. Like you got Xyrus making snakes everywhere. You got Zergo putting a lot of mobilized triggers on the battlefield, or even like Ish and Two Heavens as one doubling up on that attack trigger, and instead of dealing 2 damage per creature entering, you're dealing 4 because you're making 2 token copies with that attack trigger. So there's a lot of cool cards that kind of go along with Slash in the 99.
yeah, no, this card's just set to 7/5 for 5 mana. What the heck?
I mean, that's all we need to say. Like, it's just really good. I mean, everyone already knows how good Perforos is.
Yeah, a card that I think is going to be one of the best cards in the deck. I'm definitely picking this up. This is Cool But Rude. It's a 2 CMC enchantment class. It says whenever you attack, you can discard a card. If you do, you draw a card. You level it up for 2 more mana. And it says whenever you discard a card, the class deals 2 damage to each opponent. And then for only 2 more mana, you get to level it up again. And it's basically gamble. Search your library for any card and then discard a card at random. So you get another tutor in red. Remember, gamble's a game changer. And it's going to be a solid form of discard damage. So for all of your wheel decks, definitely want
Yeah.
this. And it's a solid loot effect. This card does a lot for 2 mana.
Yeah, and this is really good in a lot of different decks. The first ones that come to mind is like Captain Howler Ski Surge, Sea
Oh
Scourge.
yeah, good.
Yeah,
So good.
that
So
one's
good.
really good in there because you're discarding on attack, you're buffing up a creature with +2/+0, and potentially drawing a card. There's also situations where you may want to put this in Browlin and Shabraz, where you have that wheel style effect commander. So there's a lot of uses with this, and just for just 2 mana, you're leveling it up and just getting a lot of value out of it.
I saw a post the other day and they're like, I can't wait for this like commander card to ruin standard.
Oh,
Like, dude, this card does a lot, bro. It does a
well,
lot.
I think it's
Especially
really
with
good
like
with
the monument decks like meta
yeah.
right now.
Well, yeah, I
So
think
like
it's the what is it, the lessons decks and standard. I keep up with
yeah,
standard a little bit. Like it's the lessons deck where you want
monument
to put
to
it in.
endurance. It's
Yeah,
monument to endurance with the otters.
yeah. The otters are just stupid. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
good.
so now cool but rude can be played at otter. Let's see what this does to standard. But for sure in commander, I'm playing this. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of cool cards. Yeah, cool but rude. There's been a lot of really good red cards in this set. I'm just saying, like, I was looking at our list, like, most of it's actually surprisingly red, including, like, Raphael the Night Watcher. Because why not just give all your attacking creatures you control double strike? Because why not? Especially when you sneak it in for 3 mana. It's so good.
I think that's what's crazy about this card for me. Like, there's a lot of effects that give everything double strike, but you're going to see 4, 5, 6 mana sometimes. So the fact that you can sneak this in for 3 mana and then surprise people with it, because it's kind of like a combat trick, you could kill somebody out of nowhere with Raphael and do a ton of damage at the same time.
Yeah, and there's sometimes where I really like double strike over dealing double damage or doubling power of our creatures. There's some certain situations where you have deals combat triggers where you have like coastal piracy, instead of getting 1 card draw, you get 2 card draw. There's a lot of reasons to love double strike over some of those other effects, and Raphael does it at a cheap, efficient rate, only at 3 mana when you sneak it in.
Professional Facebreaker too. You
Oh
get
yeah.
Yeah, because the first strike damage step, it'll trigger and then trigger a normal. So you can get 6 treasure tokens off a professional facebreaker.
Yeah, or play Grim Hireling. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you could get 12. F
Yeah,
it.
yeah, no, seriously. But if you're playing Mono Red, obviously professional facebreaker. But I was just saying Grim Hireling because you mentioned it, and it's way better. But
It's
obviously,
so good. Grim Hireling's so good,
yeah. But
bro.
with Raphael, it's just Stu and just giving everything double strike. Obviously, they are attacking. There's also that other Strixhaven card that is like 4 mana, but all of it is in Boros pips for attacking creatures, and it doesn't have the sneak ability. So this is just a straight up power crept version of that.
We take that. We take the power. No.
We take the power creep
um,
every time, even if it's
yeah.
on a turtle form.
Take every time. Dude, we have Tempestra Dame of Games too. This is a legendary creature, elemental illusion. You can tap it, sacrifice an artifact, create a token that's a copy of another token or of another target creature you control, except it isn't legendary. It gains haste. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. So we've got a way in red, or another way in red, I should say, to make non-legendary token copies of things. I like how whenever they started printing like non-legendary cards like Helm of the Host and stuff, they're like, we are not going to make this the design of Magic. This is going to be rare. It's going to be very
And
rare.
then
Now in 2025, if you tell me like making a non-legendary token copy of your commander's hard, I'm gonna laugh at you.
yeah.
Like,
Well, there's just, I mean, I know we mentioned Atali. I feel like we talk about Atali every podcast. I'm not even going to talk about it, but Atali Primal Conqueror, yeah, double the ETB, get the value
we'll,
out of
we'll
it.
put it we'll put it in my room instead.
Yeah,
We'll put it in my room instead and call it good.
there you go. I like
You
that idea.
You also have like the old one. I'm gonna bring up an old commander. It's Gaiard Exiled Conclave. This is a 5 CMC legendary creature human shaman. It says whenever he attacks or int or sorry. Ugh. When Gaiard Conclave exiles enter the battlefield, create a 4/4 green rhino creature token with trample, and then whenever he attacks, you get to populate. The token enters the battlefield tapped and attacking. So you can populate Gaiard,
Yeah, no, that's
which
exactly why you want to do it because every time you attack, you just keep populating that one token you copy of. Yeah, especially in non-blue decks because I feel like blue has the advantage of just making token copies of creatures abundantly, and this is just a way
Mhm.
to do it in red. And giving the non-legendary cause makes it even better because why not?
Oh, dude, maybe. Oh, I probably want to play this in Clive. Clive's going to be really good with this.
Oh yeah, Clive
Clive's
works.
the one.
Yeah, getting the devotion and you get more devotion on top of that.
Yeah, and it's non-legendary, so it sticks around. So you just
Mm.
adds to your devotion throughout the game. Every single turn, you're gonna draw more cards.
Man, you are cooking right now. All right,
Yeah,
I dig it.
I'm so down for that.
Yeah, so we are going to move on and we're going to talk about some one-off commanders. We talked about like Geared with Tempestra. We're also going to talk about Triceradon commander with like some dinosaur commanders. Obviously, Gishath is probably the most notable one. Just the fact that whenever this creature attacks dinosaurs you control, other than this one, get +1/+1 and game flying until end of turn. Give Gishath flying. It has more evasion. You only can have dragons basically block it, and Gishath is most likely going to go in for combat damage, and it's also buffed up, so you're searching 8 deep instead of 7 deep. You also have like Pantlaza too, where you're technically buffing up creatures and then I guess discovering with them too. Yeah, but that's okay. Again, I like this more for Gishath than for Pantlaza.
I always thought Geshath needed one more keyword.
Yeah.
I was like, vigilance, trample, haste. They're all right. Like he really just needs wings, bro.
Yeah, or even like 8/7 maybe.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. He needed to be a little bit bigger. He needed to be a little
Right.
bit bigger to have flying. So this is perfect for that.
No, I agree.
I know you love the art though. I think like didn't you say
Shut
like
up.
it just
Shut
fits
up. Shut up.
perfectly with
Shut
the
up.
theme of
Shut
the
up.
deck?
No.
Okay, okay,
Shut up.
okay. Moving on to the next one. I want to talk about Brewback for a little bit. This is a 3 CMC legendary creature human advisor. It says if an opponent would mill one or more cards, they mill twice that many instead. And then you had Ketsun's Technique. This is a 6 CMC instant, but it has sneak for 2 mana. And then it says target opponent mills half their library rounded up. So with Brewback and this technique here, you're just killing a player.
No, straight up. Yeah, no, that's what you're really
Yeah,
doing. For 2 mana, I mean,
that
you play the Brewback and then you swing it with another creature and then just 2 mana, just sneak it in and then just literally kill it. Yeah, it's crazy. Like,
yeah. People love the mill players, so they're gonna love this. I'm sure.
no, exactly. That is pretty nutty. Like, I mean, it could go in Mothman technically now I think about it, but eh. I think that'd be a
You
little too
stay.
mean.
You you
Mothman
stay
Mill
away.
is not the way I built my deck. I mean, you can mill yourself, I guess. Is it an opponent? Never mind. But yeah, I get it. Yeah, Brewvac. Yeah.
It's gross. It's gross.
Another card I quickly wanted to talk about because it's more of a card that I'm putting in my own deck is Double Jump and Flying Kick. This one might be interesting because we don't really see bite effects too much in red. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature an opponent controls. There is like Chandra's Ignition technically that deals damage to each creature and each player based off of power, but this is a new one-time effect that you could also use the modal ability with Double Jump. You put a flying counter on target creature you control until in turn it has base power toughness 5/5. The only reason why I like this is putting a flying counter on blue Loyal Raptor because after that, all your dinosaurs will have flying and they essentially just become dragons at that point, but better dragons.
Better. Whoa. Calm the fuck down. Okay. Whoa. Whoa. Okay. All right.
Now
I have.
I started
Yeah.
so much heat because I've said dinosaurs are better than dragons and like it's been
Dude,
nonstop on my channel, so I
just
had to
it's
mention
just a
it.
joke at this point.
Yeah,
Bringing it over to the podcast. I
yeah.
appreciate that. I do not condone what he says. I think dragons are better. You still got fire. You give a dinosaur wing, they still don't blow fire. I don't know what to
Uh,
say. I
well,
don't know.
I'm not gonna go into it.
Okay, we're okay. He's like, hey, we can agree to disagree. No, I like
Yeah,
that. Another card. I think this might be the best rat commander now. I don't know. I want to hear the rat guy can
I
pick
think
or
so.
whoa, can't talk. Just tripped on my tongue. I want to hear all of you rat players' opinions out there. But this is Rat King Vermister. This is a 2 CMC legendary creature rat avatar. It says at the beginning of your end step, if a permanent left the battlefield under your control, this turn, create a 1/1 black rat creature token, and then you can put a 1/1 counter on the Rat King. But the big ability is you can tap him to sacrifice 3 rats, return target creature card, and all creature cards with the same name from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So you just get all of your relentless rats, put them in the graveyard, and then bring them all back. And there's a ton of ways to abuse that. Sack outlets like your War and Soul traders, you're generating mana. You can draw cards off of sacrificing them to your draw effect. I just think this is probably the best rat
Well,
commander.
there's also that one land that you what is it, station,
You can
and then
untap
you.
a legendary creature.
Oh no, I was thinking of the one that the station land, the black mythic, where you tap, sacrifice a creature, draw cards equal to its power.
Yes, it's
Yeah,
a planet.
that or the Shadow Heart that does the same thing. You tap.
Shadowheart
Yeah,
Justicator.
there's a
You
lot of
have
effects like that.
Disciple of Bolus. There is no shortage of ways to sacrifice creatures with high power. You even got the new copter we talked about.
Yeah. Well, and the fact that like this basically makes a relentless rats just as a token is just quite powerful. Obviously, you could just sacrifice the 3 tokens and then get all your regular relentless rats onto the battlefield. I don't really know how much usually people play as far as relentless rats or even like the other version. Again, there's too many of those effects where like you have any certain amount of copies on the in the deck. But again, Rat King, I think is definitely the best rat commander. It was funny. I made a Doran rat video, and then right after I made that video, this was
Yeah, this comes
spoiled.
out.
I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, because all you really need is a Blood Artist effect, a way to untap the Rat King, and then you just go ham.
Yeah, no, exactly. I personally think I'm not a big rat fan, but I do think that this is probably the best
No.
rat commander for sure.
Could you believe that all the rat decks look the same? It's like
I don't want
no,
to offend anybody in the audience, but
yeah, no. I'm just saying, like those decks are like there's like maybe like 5 cards different, but I think this will give them like an interesting new take on it. You got the Blood Artist effects, and I think this could be pretty close to the best one. I think.
no, I absolutely agree. I think yeah, the Rat King definitely will either go in the 99 of a lot of rat decks or just be the
Oh, it
rat
definitely goes
commander.
into that. Yeah,
Yeah, but either
yeah.
way, absolutely. Speaking of which, let's move on. And I have a land that I wanted to talk about. I don't know your opinion about it just because it's a tap land, but it's basically a command tower with hidden hideout. So with hidden hideout, you pay 2, tap it. Target creature you control with a counter on it gains lifelink until end of turn. So I like it because it gives lifelink. It's kind of
Mm.
like a witch's cottage. Again, the fact that it is a command tower, though it enters tapped, but it does also give some other benefits, makes it pretty useful. Maybe late game if you already have a lot of mana, or if you just have it the first turn and you don't really have a turn 1 play, you just play it tapped and then just have any mana of your color's identity. I think it's pretty useful.
Yeah, so for me, I'm like a greedy, greedy deck builder.
Me too.
So if you
Yeah.
told me I could cut Luxodon Warhammer and put in a land to be my Luxodon Warhammer, I'm probably doing that. Like I have a
Huh?
Ruick Thar life gain deck where I'm just trying to hit myself in the face and
I
get like a
love
ton of
that.
value. So like if I could just like give Ruick Thar life gain, I can storm off and do crazy things. So, but the deck does not function if Ruick Thar does not have life gain because there's not a lot of creatures in that deck, believe it or not.
Right.
Um, yeah, so definitely, I definitely see this going in that
Well,
deck. I also had a land I wanted to talk about, but I like that one. I like that one for sure. It's Northampton Farm.
mhm.
This is a land. It enters. It doesn't enter tapped. It taps for generic, and then you can pay one to exile target creature you control, and then you can tap it and pay two to sacrifice this land. Return a creature card exiled with this land to the battlefield under your control. Return each other card exiled with this to its owner's hand. So it basically only returns one at a time, but you can exile multiple. This is just solid protection. Maybe your ETB decks want this, but out of the gate, this is just kind of like a cool way to just stop someone from removing your commander if you like need it to untap and have that card. Like maybe you've got like a Gishath deck. I think Gishath probably doesn't want this, but I'm just saying like if you need to protect a commander, this is a cool way to do it, and it's an untapped land.
I know another dinosaur that would like this, that because it's
No, don't do
colorless.
it. Don't,
I'm not
do
gonna do
it.
it. I'm
Don't
not
do
gonna do
it.
it. But yeah, that's a really good land. I like the idea of just protecting your own creature. I think that's what I would rather use it for, because if you sacrifice it, then I mean you're not gonna have the land anymore. It's probably like, I wouldn't consider this as a land. I think you mentioned that before we talked about it in the podcast,
Yeah.
but like, yeah, I like it just for protecting like any kind of card and just making sure that you can just reuse its center's trigger. But we are going to move on, and let's talk about one that I find very good in a general sense. I mean, I had to mention this one because I love my coastal piracy effects. Ray Fillet, and the name is just awesome. It's just a fillet, but it has flying evolve, and whenever a creature you control with a counter on it deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card. So this works really well with basically, again, the Wise Mothman is the reason why I mentioned this card. It's really good because everything has a counter on my side of the board. This also works with other counter decks too. Obviously, it's in blue. It's the cheapest, one of the cheapest coastal piracy effects we do have. Around 3 mana. Obviously, it's linear towards +1/+1 counters, but you kind of get the point.
Yeah, even like the mutant mayor that does a very similar thing. Well,
All
he
right.
puts counters on your creatures too, but like that's a 5 CMC creature. So I really like this, and I really like that it has evolve. But I do want to like focus on the fact that it's 3 CMC. So I want my commander to be like 4 CMC when I'm playing this, or 5 CMC like the Mothman, and I want to try to cast my commander the next turn. That way I instantly get that card advantage off of Ray, and we can start doing some cool things. But again, yeah, half the time you're playing this in a deck where your entire board has counters anyway, so it doesn't
Yeah.
really matter that much.
No, exactly.
And yeah, since the legendary rule's dead, let's talk about Irma. Irma says at the beginning of combat on your turn, Irma becomes a copy of up to one other target creature you control, except her name is Irma, part-time mutant, and she has this ability. Then you get to put a 1/1 counter on her. I was kind of thinking about creatures to put this in. Maybe you put this in Vivi, and then you just have two Vivis.
Oh gosh. Okay. Yeah. There.
I
There.
don't
There
know.
is a card.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I said, the legendary rule's dead, bro. It's kind of crazy, but
Yeah.
yeah,
This
here
is
we are.
this is pretty much just another version of Go Go Mysterious Mime, but obviously it's a little
No
different
haste.
because it doesn't have haste. Yeah, and you could just copy any creature you control on the battlefield if it has a really good ability like Wise Mothman, or if you just have a really good attack trigger. I think it's very good in that versatility. Again, like you mentioned, Legendary Rule is just getting thinner and thinner. And I think just because they're printing more and more legendaries nowadays, especially in Universes Beyond, I feel like they kind of have to go this direction just for draft. Even though it's not a draft card, it's in the Commander Precon.
Yeah, I like this. I love the flexibility of these cards, man. Because
Yeah.
I've done some crazy things with Go-Go Mysterious Mime. I think Go-Go's a little bit better because of the haste. Because I've had him like copy Savala before, and
Oh
then you
yeah.
just have Savala. Yeah. So, but the fact that this could be anything, your commander, maybe you have another tap ability you want to get. The flexibility is definitely there because what's going to happen is next turn you can just have her copy something different. So
Yeah.
that's always something to look out for.
Yeah, and speaking of combats, we're going to move on to Raph and Leo, Sibling Rivalry. We both love our extra combats. We had to include an extra combat card in here, but at a cheap and efficient rate of 3 mana. If it's the first combat phase when it attacks of the turn, untap up to 1 or 2 target attacking creatures. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase. So it's a little bit more limited, only untapping 2 or 1 creatures, but honestly, I still think it's worth it because most cases are not. You're swinging in with a Tali Primal Storm or other creatures that have attack triggers too. This is just really good. Though it's in Boros, it is limited in more restricted decks in that color combination. I still think it's pretty neat.
I do too. And again, if you put this in like a Vigilance deck, you don't even care at that
Oh,
point.
true. I kind of forgot about that. Yeah.
No, you're fine. Vigilance is one of those. I think Vigilance is like slept on, like when it comes to extra
I
combat
agree.
steps, but like nowhere else almost. But yeah, I do. I like this card. The fact that it's 3 CMC, like where are you gonna get an extra combat step for 3 CMC? That's like,
Yeah, I mean, I
I mean,
guess
oh,
yeah. There's some, but like they have hoops to jump through. Like there's that one that is an Assassin's Creed.
overpowering attack,
Yeah,
overpowering attack. But your commander has to attack. But I
yeah,
mean, that happens. But yeah, no, yeah, it's just good. It's just
right.
good.
No, I agree. And speaking of attacking, we're going to move on to the next one, and we're going to talk about Casey Jones' Back Alley Brute. And this is basically just all will be one on a stick. So whenever it attacks, you put a +1/+1 counter on an attacking creature. And whenever you put one or more +1/+1 counters on a creature you control, it deals that much damage to target opponent. So I like this for a lot of different decks. Yeah, Casey Jones actually just combos off with a lot of different things. For example, like Ob Nixilis, Captive Kingpin, or even the Red Terror because you're putting counters on it. Then it kind of goes back and forth into a situation where you could just ping everybody to death. With Ob Nixilis, you kind of exile your whole entire deck, but you do ping everybody along the way. So again, a lot of cool combos with it. Very good and very powerful.
I like that it's a creature too. I like that this is a creature easier to tutor for your like Shalai and Halar. It's like a redundancy effect.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what Shalai and Halar does, but you can sneak out like a Casey Jones and you've just got like another copy of your commander. Gonna add a little bit consistency if you're trying to be like that degenerate combo player.
Yeah. But it's if you want to have a hockey puck in your deck. That's the only question.
Oh, that's the allure.
That's the
That's what you're
alert.
supposed to. Yeah.
I mean, it's a cool card.
uh,
I like the art of it actually, but
I do, yeah. Casey Jones seems solid. I also want to talk about Raphael the Muscle. I think this is one of the most this is one of the turtles that I could see being used the most. It's 5 CMC, double all the damage creature you control with counters on them deal. And then it says when Raphael enters, create a mutagen token. So not only is he a source that can put a counter on anything, but also he's just going to start doubling damage.
yeah, no, you like that as a finisher in your counters decks for sure. Maybe even Casey Jones. I mean, double damage of him. That's really good.
Oh,
Raphael, I also like it for just a lot of situations. General, just again, a finisher is what I really like it most for.
I agree. I think that's pretty cool. We've also gotten some artifact tech.
Yeah,
I
we got a
like
lot of artifacts.
Yeah, we got a lot of artifact tech. But I think Ravenous Robots is what I'm most excited for because I'm always looking for just ways to generate fodder whenever I'm casting artifact spells. So we have Ravenous Robots, artifact creature robot. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, create a 1/1 colorless robot artifact creature token, but also you can tap it and it says creature tokens you control gain haste until end of turn, which I think is pretty notable. I've noticed whenever I have a really explosive turn and I like throw something like a Cyberdrive Awakener on the battlefield, animate a ton of treasure tokens. It's like those treasure tokens still don't have haste.
That's true.
And I do think haste is one of those powerful keywords that just having redundancy is super important. And then additionally, like I said, it does the thing where I just generate all the fodder. So Brea decks are going to love this.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love this for the fact that you're kind of going wide with a lot of robots on the battlefield. All for 2 mana, by the way. This is basically like a young pyromancer, but for artifact spells that you're just casting and you're getting more and more of them on the battlefield. Yeah, no, Ravenous Robot's really good. I like it. So yeah, but we are going to move on and talk about another one that's more of a finisher than just a value generator. This is Krang Ultram Warlord. I personally like this because I think it's basically a closer for a lot of artifact decks, especially if you have a lot of those constructs on the battlefield that get +1/+1 for each artifact you control. They most likely will get chump blocked along the way, but the fact that this gives flying, trample, indestructible, and haste means that it is going to be extremely strong and a finisher for those kind of decks.
And there's that haste that we're talking about. Haste is
Yeah.
super important. I hate this for 9 mana, but it is a way to get haste if you're not in those red decks, and it is going to be a solid finisher, like you said, or a way to protect your board. I do think like Indestructible's dying. Like I feel like everything just exiles everything now.
I noticed that like Indestructible is becoming less and less like good anymore, but I
Yeah,
still think it's okay. I mean, there's some situation where people play rats and whatever, but this could also be pretty fun in Indominus Rex Alpha because 4 different keywords.
that's true. That is true, actually.
Yeah.
Indestructible, haste, trample, fly. Wow, that's a good one,
Yeah.
actually. That's a good one.
I just thought about that on the fly because I
Yeah,
just
no,
saw,
okay.
yeah, I
You
saw
sold
my
me there
blue on
because
the
you don't have
side.
to cast it. Yeah, you sold me there because you don't have to cast it. You just
Yeah,
discard this mother.
exactly.
Then you
That's
can
all you have to do.
reanimate it later. Yeah, just put it in the graveyard. That's where it belongs.
Yeah.
Uh, Donatello Gadget Master is also what I want to talk about. This one's like really strong. It's just 3 CMC, or you can sneak it out for 2. And it says whenever he deals combat damage to a player, create a token that's a copy of target artifact you control, which is very, very good with those Karnstruck decks like we were talking about. I mean, just token copy of any artifact is
Yeah.
crazy. What's that blue one? We were
A
talking about
simulacrum
it. Like,
synthesizer.
yeah, it's always just Simulacrum Synthesizer. Every deck is how many of these can I get? And this Donatello is going to be, I think, maybe one of the best commanders to do that.
Well, even like what is it called? You already mentioned it, the Cyberdrive Awakener, because it has the ETB. You could reuse that
Oh yeah, that's
ETB all
true.
over again. Yeah, again, really powerful. Just the fact that it's copying any artifact token you control means that you just swing in with that sneak ability. People will at least expect it. At least if it's not in the command zone. If it's in the command zone, a lot of people are expecting it. And plus, it got some pretty cool art with that like mecha robot suit that it has.
Oh
Again,
yeah.
really cool.
I also want to talk about Turtles in Time.
Oh,
This is a 7 CMC sorcery, but it makes your opponents kind of choose what they want to do. It says return all creatures to their owner's hands. Each player may shuffle their hand and graveyard into their library. Then each player who does draws 7 cards. So I'm going to bounce everybody's board, and then everybody gets to decide, do you want a new hand? If you do, you have to put your entire board that I just bounced into your hand back into your library. So do you want to rebuild from the Cyclonic Rift, or are we drawing more cards? This kind of does 2 things. It's going to get rid of the player that's ahead of everybody. So it kind of just deals with the problem player right away. Additionally, it is going to help other players get back into the game. And if you're not playing a creature strategy, this is just good.
yeah, no, I like this especially against token decks. I have like a personal vendetta against token decks. I don't know why, but the
They
fact that
blocked your Gishath once, and you're like,
no, I hate them, especially like Scoot Swarm. I know I have a personal vendetta against all those,
mm,
but the fact that like technically with tokens they don't go to your hand, they just disappear.
gone.
That's just really good. You don't have to worry about them ever coming back unless you put that token generator back on the battlefield. But most likely, people will want to just draw a new 7 and then put all the other cards into their deck. And I mean, they might just redraw into it, but most cases than not, I feel like most people want to keep their stuff, especially if they were way ahead. And that just kind of is okay because then you get to catch up with them and maybe some other opponents too.
Again, this is just talking about like the power we're getting for the artifacts decks in this set. Like I want to play this in an artifact deck. Artifact decks historically like reduce the cost of their artifacts, so it's easy to just put all 7 cards in your hand onto the battlefield, and then you're gonna need a new hand. So I think this is just perfect to kind of just get a kind of one-sided board wipe in a way. I'm excited to try it out.
Yeah, no, exactly. And we also have Exploding Barrel. This is a 3 mana rock. Obviously, it'll put a pressure counter on the artifact. And also, it could be in a colorless deck most likely rather than not because of that last ability. You pay 8, sacrifice this artifact, it deals 20 damage to target creature. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each pressure counter on this artifact, only activate as a sorcery, so potentially just to 0, so there's a lot of effects where you might want to deal a ton of damage to a specific creature so that they die and you don't have to worry about that problematic threat anymore because 20 damage, I can't think of that many creatures that would die to it unless it has indestructible, so good removal on that aspect.
I completely agree with what you said. Colorless decks, I'm always looking for like efficient removal, and I'm always looking for ramp. So anytime we can tie those together, I think we finally found a 3 CMC mana rock that I'm kind of excited to play. And then again, like you said, like your Brash Taunters just taking 20 damage and doming someone in the face, I'm down to do that too.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. There's a lot of other effects like that. Like Giggling Skitter Spike. Is that the one where it has that effect
Oh
too?
yeah, yep.
Yeah, that
That
one's pretty
or
insane
no, I
too.
think that one's counters when it attacks.
Oh, okay, never mind. Oh, but that goes with the counter strategy with all these other cards, but eh.
Yeah, there we go. And then Stuffy Doll. Stuffy Doll is the other
Oh,
one. Yeah,
Stuffy
we
Doll.
got
That's the one I was thinking of. Stuffy Doll. Yeah.
yeah. And then oh, even like the white Venom, anti Venom.
Oh
You
yeah,
could
because
just
then it
put
just gets.
20 counters on him and then one shot someone.
Yeah, there's a commander idea. Just put that in there and you're good. Jeez. All
Yeah,
right.
good to go. It's just and it could be solid. It's so flat. I think this is finally a 3 mana rock that I'm like maybe in some decks.
Right. No,
Maybe in some decks.
very specific decks for sure when you're wanting to deal damage. Again, like you mentioned, anti venom. I've been wanting to build that commander for a little bit, but I'm
It's
still
fun.
hesitant. We'll see.
It's fun. It's a
It's
fun
fun.
deck.
All
It's
right.
a fun deck.
Well,
Yep.
that will do it for us, guys. That is all the cards we have as far as cards that will really go good in the 99 of a lot of your commander decks. There are a lot of other commanders that these cards work for. Obviously, we didn't mention every individual one of them. Let us know down below in the comments what cards work really well from the TMNT set in your own commander decks.
Definitely. And definitely leave a like, subscribe. This is a new channel. We're loving the support. Also, we need feedback in the comments down below. Like we're trying out all these different what is
Like
it? Like
categories or
video
like,
ideas and
yeah.
stuff. Like, do you want this to be a mainstay in the channel? Do you want to always hear about the commanders that the sets are buffing, or would you rather hear about the sets? I kind of like just talking about the cards that I'm going to shove in the 99, especially when we're getting so many universes beyond sets.
Right, and obviously we'll talk about commanders we like from the sets, but kind of like Splinter, Radical Rat, that definitely is a cool commander that kind of replaced Yuriko as a more casual version, but obviously there's a lot of other cards that can be great commanders. We might talk about them in some videos, but this is kind of the format we like most.
I agree. So again, let us know. Looking for a ton of feedback. With that being said, hope you guys have a great day.
See ya.